Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. We're back
And
at the. Oh,
don't
what's
forget
that?
don't forget the filthy animals.
Oh, yeah, you filthy animals. I was going to save that for the new year, but here we are. We're ready for Christmas. We got a little naughty nice list for you guys after we finish up with the news. I've got Ian with me, as you heard. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Doing good. Feeling great, actually. Season's
Feeling
almost
great.
over. Yeah.
Good.
Sad the season's almost over, but happy with how it panned out. But yeah, and then it's Christmas time. So if you can't be happy around Christmas time, well, I feel sorry for you.
Well, you probably work in retail or.
Or you wear a lot of green, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, there are several reasons that you could not like Christmas. To be fair, or as we're calling it at my workplace now, the December holiday.
No,
I know,
refuse.
week, right?
As an
So
Englishman, I prefer my antiquity and my tradition. So
yeah,
I'm gonna
I
stick with
think I would,
Christmas.
get on pretty well over there. I'm an old soul, and I'm a traditionalist. I
Yeah,
think I think things are good the way they are, and we should try to preserve a lot of that stuff that we
yeah,
try to flush out. So not all that we are being steered to is bad. Remember to think for yourselves, not only in fantasy football, but in the rest of your life as well.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
all
And
right.
we're right almost all the time. So if you wanna
Yeah.
follow our advice, feel free. But sometimes we're wrong. So
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
we'll
Not as much.
talk about that a little bit here in a minute.
Yeah, for sure. Um, and talking about the end of the fantasy season, that's not all bad either. We get to start looking at the NFL draft. We get to start looking at the process that didn't work for us this year, the process that did, and how we're going to carry those things forward. And we'll be here to discuss those with you.
Yeah, and maybe cash some winners checks if you've able to get one.
Oh yeah. I'm actually in a finals this week. It's a 2-week matchup in week 16 and 17, and I am upset about that because I have a monster team, and as you know, those monsters in week 17 a lot of times don't get to play football.
Yeah, they're stuck on the other side of the door, right?
Yep. So I'm hoping,
Big lead
and
going in.
I'm hoping that I've got a big league going to that second week, and I can just kind of try to steer those avenues and try to figure it out. But with that being said, let's get into some news before we lose the audience here with all this rambling that I'm doing.
Yeah, there you go. Both of us. But yeah,
Yeah.
starting off, um, as we do every week, a Christian McCaffrey update. He's doubtful. They were talking about him maybe making an appearance this week, but he's doubtful again. So you're on the side of caution. He's almost definitely not going to play.
Yeah, if he doesn't play this week, hang it up. He ain't playing next week.
Yeah, if you play that week. Another running back of note, Clyde Hilaire has a high ankle sprain and a hip injury. He's definitely going to miss the next 2 weeks. They think he might be back for the postseason in the real NFL, but
That was an ugly looking injury.
I did not see it, but I've heard it wasn't great. So
He got his lower body just kind of got bent up like a pretzel. It wasn't something that I want to do. It would be far worse than a hip and ankle sprain if I did that.
Yeah.
They might as well just go ahead and dig me a little hole out there in the field and leave me there.
Couple cracks.
Yeah, I'd probably be dead. So Clyde Edwards get right. It was a tough looking injury.
Yeah, and it's been an okay season for a rookie, but not quite what we expected. So
That's what I expected.
wow. Okay. Another running back, Raheem Mostert, another re-injury of a high ankle. He's done for the year. Jeff Wilson also was dealing with an ankle injury this week.
He's fine.
He's fine as of right now, but I don't know. I would curb my expectations for him if you have him.
RB1 finish.
All right.
He's going to be He's going to be a top 12 running back this week.
If I lived in Tennessee, that would be a water bet right there.
Book it. It's going to happen. Producer Gunner, former producer Gunner, I guess at this point. He's moved to Alabama, down in southern Alabama, so maybe we can get together and cash in on some water bets.
Sounds good. Tallahassee, we call that in everywhere else in Florida.
Tallahassee.
East Southern Alabama is pretty much Tallahassee.
Yeah. East Southern Alabama.
Gross.
Okay. Cool.
Also gross, Michael Thomas. He was a late addition to the IR last week.
Oh, wait. But wait, let's not forget to hit this right here. I warned you on that Michael Thomas situation.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
I didn't expect IR,
No.
but I did expect him to miss that game.
So yeah, he's been a severe disappointment this season.
So have I.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you want to cover the next couple?
Sure. We got Todd Gurley. It's come out that he is no longer the starting running back for the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know if that's entirely fair to Todd Gurley. I think that's kind of been it's been a rough spot for the entire team. Matt Ryan has not played the best when Julio Jones has been out, and Julio Jones has been out quite a bit. Coaching carousel there has been kind of a mess. After they fired Dan Quinn wasn't good when he was there. So Todd Gurley doesn't look like himself either. So
yeah, it's been rough. I looked at his stat line, and he was solid up until the bye. And as soon as the bye hit, it was like a different. It's like his twin brother came out and never played football before. And
do you think it's touchdown regression? Is that the problem?
Oh, absolutely. But also he just pretty sure his yards per carry have taken a hit. Just all across the board, he's just sort of disappeared. So
I feel like he was living off of some big plays early, and all of that stuff regresses eventually. And when you're Todd Gurley and you're playing with old knees, that sucks, man. It'll flip on you real quick.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Stefan Diggs injury. He left the game late last week. It was a foot injury, not believed to be serious. I think he's going to play. I think he's going to dominate.
Yeah. I think he's
one of the best wide receivers in football.
Yeah, he's been awesome. Big part of why Josh Allen's been so good.
Yeah, we'll talk about him a little bit. I don't know about that either. Look at Cole Beasley, but anyways, so let's press forward here. Tyler Boyd with a concussion.
Yeah, look bad.
I don't know if they're rushing back.
No reason to.
Yeah.
Especially, the NFL is so cautious over the head injuries these days.
They have to be.
Yeah. They had obviously some severely bad press about it, quite rightly so. So I know that the protocol, the 5-step protocol is pretty stringent. So I don't think, even if he passes, why rush him back, like you say? You're playing with your third-string quarterback. You're playing for nothing. Leave him be. They won without him against Pittsburgh too. So,
I mean, look, Brandon Lemming, former co-host, he loves Tyler Boyd, dude. I think he's vanilla. He doesn't excite me. I'm not a big fan.
He's a good player.
He's a good player. He's a good player. I'm not saying that he's a bad NFL player. I'm not even saying that he's a bad fantasy player. I think he's limited on what he's ever going to bring you in both places.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, no matter what the quarterback situation is, Tyler Boyd's going to be a better PPR receiver than what he is half-point or standard. He's not a big play guy at all.
Yeah.
Eric Ebron, he injured his back in this game. Same game.
Yeah, missed practice today as well. I would be surprised if he played.
Cautious to play him if he did.
Yeah, I wouldn't play him. Even if he's active, I would not play him against Indianapolis.
Look, the tight end landscape has been a desperate situation. I've not yet been that desperate this year that I had to play Eric Ebron.
Yeah.
Luckily. Thank you. All right. This is a fun one. It's unfortunate, but it's a conversation. We'll try to just kind of keep it on the crust here, on the surface. Josh Gordon, he relapses a couple hours after being activated from the commissioner's list.
No, I don't think he was ever fully activated for commissioner list, but they brought him onto the active roster in Seattle.
Oh, I see.
A couple hours later, he was his indefinite suspension was reinstated or extended, or however you want to put it. But yeah,
was it weed?
They never specified, but almost definitely. I think he sparked up a celebratory blunt, and
well, there have been some rumors that he had, maybe that was a gateway drug for him, and he had slipped into some more heavy stuff. And let me tell you, Seattle might not be the best place for him right now. Mm-hmm. With all that being said, they've legalized everything, right?
Well, no, decriminalized. So it's not legal, but you won't go to jail for it.
Yeah, that's legal. If you tell me I'm not going to jail if I do something, I'm probably gonna do it. I mean, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm inclined to do so anyway.
Yeah. It's a
Because there's
shame because it's such a talent, like such a
oh yeah,
genuine talent.
well, he can go back to selling cars now. I think he's done.
Yeah. No, I would. I mean, he's had 5 or 6 chances, and at this point, I think his ship sailed. Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Let's see. Let's go up here. Let's talk about. Let's just briefly talk about Keenan Allen. He's not practicing. Don't play him.
Yeah, don't fall into the trap that I did.
Yeah, and
Last
me. I
week.
did it as well.
Yeah, it hurt really bad. He
Did
looked
you
good.
survive?
I survived in 50% of the leagues I played in.
So that was 2.
Well, no, one of 2. I lost one final and one. And,
Well, that's what I
one
meant. Out of
final.
2,
Yeah,
50%.
yeah. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I played him in one. Luckily, that was a 2-week matchup in which I had a significant lead. I was up by 90-plus points going into the second game. So,
Yeah. I would be super inclined to bench him. If he'd have practiced today in full, I would have been more inclined to play him. But the fact he's not practicing again, I'm not doing that again. Not in another final. I'll flex somebody else.
well, and like we talked about, it's not just the injury. You're talking about a situation with an idiot head coach, Anthony Lynn, who's a little bit worried that Keenan Allen's getting too many balls thrown his way.
Yeah, I know. I heard that on the broadcast, and I about blew up a gasket. I mean,
dude,
yeah, he's only catching
Adam
like
Gase, and
87%.
Matt Nagy all just hanging out together, like figuring out new ways to screw the world up. Like,
I mean, yeah, Keenan Allen's only catching like 90% of his balls. I feel like we should target somebody else, like that Tyron Johnson. He's good. Sure. Who the hell is he?
That's our best receiver. Let's just not throwing the ball. That's a good way to tear your locker room up.
Yeah. I mean, frustrating from a fan's perspective, from a fantasy football player's perspective, because Keenan Allen's awesome, and he just wasn't on the field.
Look, the most important part about all this is Keenan Allen's perspective, because Keenan Allen is an ultra competitive guy. Anything when he's not getting the respect that he feels like he deserves, just from the media and from fans, it really gets him going, burns him up. You think his coach is going to disrespect him by saying we're not going to throw you the ball, and it's just going to go over without a hitch?
Get him a flight to Boston.
Oh,
I think he looked great in dark blue.
I think he'd look good in some other blue.
No,
Indy.
that's not. You guys, you have T.Y. Hilton. You don't need him.
T.Y. Hilton, I mean, you can't have too many weapons.
Jamal Williams didn't practice today. Maybe not a big call on the Jamal Williams owner, but a huge call for the Aaron Jones owner. Big game ahead for him, I think, against a porous Titans defense.
I mean, it could be a big game for Aaron Jones, but I don't think that has anything to do with Jamal Williams being out. I think they'll still have somebody come in and spell him. They're just not going to let Aaron Jones carry the full workload. It's not what they do.
Maybe not.
But like you said, the matchup is good. I think he does have a good game.
He had 20 carries last week, which is the first time this season when Jamal Williams kind of was a little hobbled. So that's a little bit of sort of hope for the Aaron Jones owners. So we'll see.
Game plan, bro. Game plan.
Yeah, maybe. Julio Jones could return. Not sure if he will. We don't know yet.
I doubt it.
I don't think he will either. They did what Atlanta do. They look good, and then they gave it away, especially Tom Brady. They love to do that. So, But they look good with Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage. So I don't see why they rush him back for no reason.
Yeah, same. You think they should just give Russell Gage a go at quarterback? I like Matt Ryan. I'm not like taking a jab at Matt Ryan. I just think Russell Gage throws the ball really well. Yeah,
and they did it with Mohamed Sanu as well. He's like one of the best completion records in the NFL, I think, right? And final two pieces kind of tie together. Tyreek Hill did not practice today. Andy Reid thinks he'll play. He's been dealing with a hamstring niggle, I guess you would call it, the last 2 weeks. I don't know. My second piece of news: Kansas City Chiefs could potentially rest players this week, which is it's a rare occurrence in the NFL, but they have all but locked up the number 1 seed. So,
well, if you remember, week before last, Tyreek Hill, we talked about it. I asked you if there was any news on it. When he went into the end zone, he grabbed the back of his hammy there, and I asked if there was any news on it. There was nothing. I think this is still just coming off of that. He's played a game since then. I think if their starters play, I believe they will. Tyreek Hill will be out there.
Yeah, I think he'll start. My question is, if they get up early, a couple scores, do they bench Tyreek, Kelsey?
Who are they playing again?
Atlanta.
I think there's plenty of points to be scored before they bench the starters if that happens.
Yeah, I think so, but I think the potential there is the ceiling cap for those guys is a little lower than usual, because I think they're going to win that game pretty comfortably. I think they win it on the ground too, and
with Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, if they can get up a couple scores, I think they just run the ball, and I think they bring in some of the backups. I don't see why they risk injuring those guys down the stretch, against a team that, and this game doesn't matter. There's a less than 1% chance that they don't get the 1 seed at this point. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never really seen Andy Reid rest his starters that I can recall. I'll be surprised if it happens. The only thing is, you said with the run game, Kansas City just hasn't ran the ball particularly well. They don't need to. They can throw the ball. They have those plays that are an extension of the run game that Pat Mahomes runs really well. The underneath shovel pass to the tight end, those type plays. You can run drag routes with Mecole Hardman and Tyreek Hill all day long, and you can't do anything to stop it. So
he would be the one I would be most confident starting this week is Patrick Mahomes. The other ones I'd be
Travis
they're
Kelce.
going to play, and they're going to play. Yeah, even Kelce. But even Kelce, I think he may only have a 15-point game this week. I think they pull him out.
He's on the verge of a historic season. They're not pulling him.
You only need 60 yards, though. He could get that in a quarter.
Yeah, but he could also not get it into the third quarter. They're not letting him not get it. And in the process, he could score 3 tutties. I'm not benching any Chiefs that play.
No, I don't think you bench. No, don't bench him. Don't hear what I'm not saying. Don't bench him, but don't expect 52 points from Tyreek Hill this week.
Well, no, I don't.
Right.
Most weeks, I don't. So, all right, that's the news. It'll be interesting to see how some of that stuff shakes out. There's a little bit of gray area there for a lot of those news bits that we had, so keep your eye on them. Yeah, all right. Well, let's get into some naughty and nice. Santa's got his sleigh fired up. He's got Rudolph up there. Got his list. He's checked it twice. And now we will as well. All right, so in this segment right here, we're going to talk about players, and naughty will be defined by the fact that you spent high value or a relatively high cost on a player and you didn't get the return that you thought you would get, whether that would be safety, high upside, whatever it is that we thought we were getting from those players. You may not have got them. And on the other side of that, on the nice list, maybe it's a player that you didn't spend up on because you had fear and you missed the boat. Maybe you did spend up on them and it paid off for you.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead. We've got these in here by position, and I thought it'd be fun to just go down the nice list or the naughty list and then work our way back. What do you think, Ian?
Yeah, that works for me.
Let's start with naughty or nice?
Start naughty. It's always better to have the good news to the end, I think.
Okay, cool. Interesting insight.
Yeah. So my first one on the naughty list, quarterback Lamar Jackson. Obviously,
it's been a bad boy.
He went as high as 101 in some leagues I saw, and I mean, come on. But his ADP was 209. He was the second quarterback taken off the board and been a consummate disappointment all season. Mm-hmm. So you were expecting the same as last season, and I think you're always foolish to think that especially with a running quarterback, it just doesn't translate. It never seems to go the second year. It never seems to quite match up to the previous year because the defenses figure them out. So, and
we were both on the same page, I believe, in the preseason. We believe that the cost was too high on Lamar Jackson, that regression was coming. That's correct, right?
Yeah, I want nothing to do with the quarterback outside of – I mean, the earliest I took one was the 7th round this year, so that was Kyle Murray.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's a good one. For me, it's Drew Brees. I think he was the QB7 based on ADP, and I mean, that's not outlandishly high, but you drafted him because you felt like you were safe to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not looked like Drew Brees. I mean, let's be honest, the age is really it's a worry. It was a worry coming into the year. It's the reason I haven't drafted Drew Brees in the last couple of years. I've missed out on some fantasy points due to that, but eventually you get it right if you just stick to your guns.
Yeah.
He's been borderline unusable all year. He's had a couple of good games, and that's been it.
Yep. And I had him in one league, and yeah, it's a sort of like an unlike Drew Brees season. You never know whether you should play him or not, and that's not what you want from a Drew Brees. He was always a set it and forget kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, and he would have those blow up games, but he would
Yeah.
never disappoint you.
Yeah, you never lose a week because of him.
Yeah, he's
Never
killed you.
lose a week. Yeah, he has this week, this season. Yeah, for sure.
Even before the injury, I know like maybe you're thinking, oh, he's been hurt. Well, before the injury, he was disappointing.
Yeah. And it'd be interesting to see how much the lack of Michael Thomas has to do with that, his outlet, so to speak. We'll see. I guess whether he plays or not next year, and they're all healthy. That'll be interesting to see if he can bounce back. But yeah, for this year, he was been a big disappointment.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't really attribute much of it to Michael Thomas just because he wore Kamara out of the backfield as a receiver, even out of the slot as a receiver, and I think he pretty much took over that Michael Thomas role. Saved a lot of Kamara owners, as we've seen the last couple of weeks. Not having Drew Brees, he doesn't look like the same player. So yeah. I like that though. I like that we're starting, and you hit on an upside play, and I hit on a safe play. Let's see how we go moving forward there. Ian, who do you have at running back?
So running back, I went with CEH. Obviously, there was huge hype coming out of the draft for him, and he went in the first round, early second for the most part, RB9. And we talked about it a little bit earlier. Kansas City just haven't run the ball well this year. They haven't nowhere near like they did last year, and a lot of it was. I feel like it was passing plays, screen plays last year, and they haven't run a lot of those, considering how good he can be in the receiving game. So he's been a big disappointment. You drafted him expecting a bell cow, especially when Damian Williams did not report. You were like, oh, let's go, steal. And he's just been a disappointment. Like,
yeah, I mean, like you said, most people were extremely high on him. They had higher expectations. I just don't think he's that good of a player, personally.
Yeah. Even I had some higher expectations for him just because of the potential for touchdowns, and they haven't used him in that area. They've done a bunch of like
they gave him a lot of
opportunities,
early in the season, and he just couldn't capitalize. He's too small. He's not strong. He's not fast. I think he's a very bland player. They would have been much better served to have taken DeAndre Swift or Jonathan Taylor. I think it was a misstep. They allowed Patrick Mahomes a little bit too much of input in that situation. Leave that to your front office.
Yeah. Even James Robinson. Imagine James Robinson in the Chiefs this season. Whew.
Yeah, and maybe that's not even a fit. We don't know. But Clyde Edwards, man, he's just not that good. Nobody talked about him until his senior year at LSU when Joe Burrow walked up in there with his pixie dust and scattered it all over everybody. And then all of a sudden, they wanted to talk about him as a top prospect. You don't just become a top prospect your senior year or junior year in college, whatever he was. I don't believe he's a top prospect before then. I don't believe he is now. I was able to draft him and then flip him for CeeDee Lamb in the middle of the season of a dynasty league. I was pleased to be able to do so. The only reason I had to do that was because CeeDee Lamb went before my pick. I would have taken CeeDee Lamb over him, and that's a league where I had 3 picks in the first round of the draft. I've been able to manipulate that league pretty well, but
right.
Yeah. But that's beside the point. For me, I've got Kenyon Drake. ADP was RB10 at the position. And I just don't think you've been happy with him if you drafted him. Even if you took him in the second, third round, I don't think you've been happy. A lot of people were having to take him at the back of the first, top of the second. And what a letdown in that offense especially.
Yeah, you definitely expected with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins the second year with Kyler Murray, you expected a jump from him. But he came in the season looking out of shape and slow, and he's got better as the season progressed. But like you said, you may have lost too many games till that point, and that it was too late. So I agree. He's been okay, but not what you paid.
He's been very reliant on the big play, and they've just not come often enough for him. And some of it's play calling. I think you saw when Chase Edmonds, who's been great in relief, when he came in and took over in that primary role, he didn't do as well either. I think there's some creativity issues from the head coach there in Arizona where maybe they're not getting creative enough. And we saw the same thing with David Johnson last year. Some of that's explosiveness for him due to the age. But either way, you've not been happy with Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, I agree.
Moving on to the wide receivers in, who's been naughty?
Chris Godwin.
It's a good call.
Yeah, great season last year. Obviously, they had added Brady. They added a lot of pieces, and the thought was that Brady loves. Everybody knows Brady loves the slot receiver. Brady loves the short routes, and Chris Godwin's probably the biggest slot receiver in the league, and he was going to eat all season. Well, that's just not been the way, and Brady's always spread the ball around. He only really targeted his slot guys, Wells Welker, Edelman, when the chips were down, and they haven't really been in that position with Tampa. They've either won games comfortably or lost games comfortably. So, and he's had some injuries, but yeah, you paid a lot for Godwin, and he's been a pretty average player all season.
Hit or miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I was hands off on the Tampa Bay situation in the preseason. Hopefully you listened to me. There's not been much consistency to be found there. They just brought in too many old people.
Well, and alphas. So everybody thinks they're the best guy on the team, and that doesn't work. So
no, and I mean, but he got along with Mike Evans really well when there were enough targets to go around. I said in the preseason, Tom Brady's not going to be able to throw the ball that many times this year. It's not even been close. It's not even the same area. So, when you lose.
They've been up in a lot of games, and then they've been running the ball. They run the ball a lot more than they did last year. So,
yeah, I mean that's Tom Brady. He's checking to the run a lot more than what Jameis Winston would have done, for obvious reasons. So,
yeah,
good call. I like that pick, Chris Godwin, ADP of 208, wide receiver 6. Get him out of here. Naughty.
Yeah, very naughty.
For me, this one, boy, it really warms the coggles of my heart. It does. Michael Gallup, wide receiver 30. All you Michael Gallup truthers, get out of my office. Just shut up. He's not that good. He's a one-trick pony. He's in an offense surrounded by better players. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, I got nothing more on that.
Yeah, right. I mean, I nailed it, right?
Yeah, pretty, to the point.
Best value. That's all I kept hearing, the best value of that wide receiver group.
We'll talk some value here in a minute on the nice side. Gallup, definitely not one of them.
Ugh, making me sick. Right here in a pandemic. I wish I had the Rona and didn't have to think about that. Carrying on.
Player who looked like he had the Rona all season. Evan Engram. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just that whole offense. I mean, the Giants are a bore. They're terrible. They're boring. They're not explosive. They're inconsistent. There's nothing good about them. Their uniforms suck. He was a tight end 6 coming in, and I mean, there's probably 60 tight ends better than him in my opinion. Somehow he got a Pro Bowl vote. Don't understand how that happened.
Well, he had some really big games. He's a good athlete. I mean, he's limited by his team. I think that he's probably one of the better tight ends in the league.
Caitlyn Jenner was a good athlete. She playing in the Pro Bowl?
Who? Who you say?
Caitlyn Jenner. It used to be Bruce, but good athlete. I'm wondering if they got a vote in the Pro Bowl.
I don't know.
Probably not.
Somebody might have voted for
Evan Engram. Terrible.
Yes, ESPN might have.
Yeah. That Disney dream. Yeah, Evan Engram, terrible. If you drafted him, I'm sorry, because you've expected performance and you've never got it. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's never been able to stay healthy. Yeah, I mean, you're right. He's been a disappointment.
He's too small to play that position.
He's as a move tight end, he can more of a split out wide receiver type role. I think he's fine. We'll see what happens when they get their offense together.
He's the only one they have. They don't even have a secondary option. Like at least in Los Angeles, they have two, and they can like rotate them in and out. One slightly bigger than the other, etc.
They don't have another tight end.
Not good one.
Oh, I'm sure they've got some inline blockers though. Like Evan Ingram's not inline blocking, and if he is, he's just getting a chip and releasing.
True.
For me, it's Zach Ertz.
What
a disappointment. Tight end 4 off the board. ADP just didn't happen. Just never really got off the ground. Never gave any return, and then he was injured. Dallas Goedert, soon to be the tight end to own there, and he is already, but next year in the drafts, he'll be drafted well before Zach Ertz, depending on where Zach Ertz goes in the offseason.
Have you ever known an organization like outwardly despise two of their main players so much in Philadelphia? I mean, they hate Wentz and Ertz the way that they've treated them this season.
Yeah.
Ertz, they pretty much hung him up even before he was having bad weeks. Like, he started okay, and they were like,
I think it was because of the contract. They don't need him. They don't want to pay him. Why would they let him bolster his numbers and demand more money? They're going to go with Dallas Goedert. He's going to be going elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Carson Wentz, now that's a different situation. We could have a whole podcast on that. He's already being paid.
Yeah.
It was an odd draft pick for Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. I also like Carson Wentz. I think what they're doing in Philadelphia, though, Carson Wentz doesn't fit it. After the ACL tear, the hits that he's taken there behind that offensive line, he's a little bit gun shy. He's not running like he did, and they need somebody who can create things with his legs and maybe space out the defense a little bit, because that offensive line can't do anything to help.
Yeah, agreed. All righty. Defenses. Old bane of any draft, I feel like. If you're picking a defense before the last round, I'm sorry, but you're a lost cause.
Yeah.
But my naughty one is the San Francisco 49ers defense. Admittedly, they suffered some injuries, but they were the first defense off the board, ADP.
Super Bowl slump.
Trash. Terrible. Get them out of here.
Get them out. For me, it's the Baltimore Ravens, drafted as the 3rd defense. Now, they've not been bad, but when you look at ADP, they were around the 120th pick. I think it was 121 overall. You're looking at the 10th round in a 12-team league. Get them out of here. They've not been consistent. They've had like 2 or 3 big games. You can roll them out there every week and hope for a defensive tutty, but on the whole, they've let you down, and they've really let you down in the games that have counted the most in the last few weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. So, moving on to some nice people that are going to get some good presents at Christmas.
Let's start right there in the defenses. Let's just go with their nice one.
Yeah, all right. So, for me, undrafted, Miami. Boy, do they look good. And they are currently defense number 1 in most leagues, depending on your scoring. But they're up there, and they were undrafted. And they've looked – special teams, great. Defense, great. They've just been really, really good.
It's another non-neutral zone special from yours truly. I gave them a shout in the preseason. I said that there were going to be 2 games out of the division they had to worry about. That was against the Buffalo Bills. Other than that, it was going to be pretty cush.
And I just thought of something. People typically draft the number 1 defense from the year previous, right? Which everybody was going off to New England. Well, all our players went to Miami. So why did nobody draft Miami?
That's a good question. New England, the writing was on the wall. They were going to have a bad year.
Yeah, for sure.
The Jets, don't get me started. So, picking the Bills to win the division, they did so. Picked Miami defense to do great. They did so. That division was cookie cutter. It was easy. So for me, surprise, surprise, I'm going to take the Indianapolis Colts defense and special teams. They've been great. They were an undrafted team. Defense number 2 in the year so far, buddy.
Yeah, they've been awesome.
Sacks, defensive tutties, interceptions, you name it, we got it. We got them all.
Yeah, they've really had no down weeks as well, which is great. I mean, they've had some big weeks, but they've been pretty solid. You know you're going to get 7 or 8 points every week at least. So
Every week we just
that's
show
twice.
up. We just show up and we ask them, "You guys want paper or plastic?" We brought the sacks. All right, let's go into tight ends. I'm going to go ahead and kick us off here. Mike Gesicki, tight end 14 ADP. Eat your heart out, Brandon Lemming. He's been very good for fantasy football. He's had some monster weeks. He had some lulls where Miami was trying to figure out what they were doing on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
But when he's been on the field the last several weeks, he's been very good.
Shame to lose him when we did.
He's just so athletic. I think he's going to play this week.
Yeah, there's talk. There is talk. We didn't mention that in the news, but there is. He was limited in practice, but he did practice today. So
he was a game time call last week.
yeah,
so I think he makes
crazy.
it.
Yeah, crazy. Mine is Jonnu Smith. I know you're not a big fan of him, but he's been solid in a barren wasteland of a tight end position. So he was a tight end number 17. You could have got him way late in the draft, and he's been pretty serviceable most weeks. He's had a couple of bad weeks, but he's had plenty of touchdowns and been decent. Yeah, been decent.
Just to clarify, it's not Jonnu Smith that I don't like. It's the targets in Tennessee that I don't like.
Understood.
All right.
One heck of an athlete, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Very good player. I don't dislike Jonnu Smith. I wish he was on a better team. A team that liked to throw the ball, I should say. Tennessee hates throwing the ball.
Yeah.
Let's move into wide receivers here. I've got Stefan Diggs on my nice list. It's crazy to think that he was the wide receiver 27.
Yeah.
There was a lot of doubt in the minds of fantasy football, whatever you want to say. I guess analysts, they doubted what was going to happen with him going to the Buffalo Bills. The Bills seem to be a run-first team that like to play defense, but Josh Allen had other plans for Mr. Diggs, for Colt Beasley.
Brown, when he's been healthy.
Yeah, John Brown. John Brown, man, he's a big part of what they do. If they can get him back right for the playoffs, the Bills are going to be a handful.
Yeah, no, they've looked very, very solid across both sides of the ball, which is what you need to win titles. So I'm
pretty sure Stefan Diggs is a top 5 wide receiver this year in half point, and may finish higher than that after this week. I think he's going to have a huge week.
Yeah, actually, I thought you may go with Justin Jefferson there because, wow, has he been explosive for a rookie? But Diggs is definitely a good take for sure. For me, DK Metcalf was a wide receiver 23 off the board, and he's currently, I think, number 3 on the year in most half-point PPR leagues, and he has just been incredible. He's had maybe one bad week, but otherwise he's been really solid with the potential of putting up disgusting numbers.
Well, you hit it on the head when you said he's solid. The guy's a tank.
Yeah. And he's honestly, he's making defensive plays too, so he should have got a shout out on the defensive special teams. But
yeah, geez, he got plenty of shout out on that play.
Yeah, he did. That's for sure. Goodness. When Lockett, and I think we've seen the cliff a little bit with Lockett. We saw it with Baldwin a few years ago, but this season Lockett's been here and there. I think Metcalf next season could be easily number 1 receiver in the league, and like pretty comfortably.
In the league.
Yeah.
We'll put that one on the water bet board.
All right. I think he outscores Hill, Thomas, Hopkins.
Wow.
Put it on the
board. Shucks, man. You're really hitting that eggnog a little early. I mean, I think DK is a great player, but the fact of the matter is you can look at the splits with Lockett and DK Metcalf. Generally, doesn't happen all the time, but generally one of them has a really good game and the other has a subpar to decent game. And I think that's what they're going to do based on matchups. You're going to see DK Metcalf have a down week this week, and it'll kind of be a reminder. So just calm down just a little bit. Settle down. Yeah, cool. All right, who you got at running back, Ian? Just keep the ball in your court.
David Montgomery, my hero. He
Oh,
won me
hero.
single-handedly. Won me two matchups last week. As a result, I bought a jersey in his honor to troll my friend who's coming over. So yeah, Dave Montgomery was the RB28 coming in the year, and if you've ridden the couple weeks of Nagyisms
God.
and niggling nagginess, then he has paid out in a big way the last 4 weeks. I think he's the RB2 the last 4 weeks, averaging over 20 points a game. So you are glad to have him when it means the most.
I didn't look, but this ties in nicely. Last week I said that I would prefer to have David Montgomery to Dalvin Cook.
You did.
And I'm pretty sure that's how things panned out. Dalvin Cook is my pick for the nice list. That seems a little crazy because he was a first-round pick, but if you remember correctly, the holdout was in the back of everyone's minds. He kind of slid down the board. He went at the pick number 8, I believe, in the league of record in my home league.
Yeah, he went. Yeah, he was around 7 or 8 ADP, I think. Correct.
Yeah. So, he's paid out on that. He's been very good, and there's a big gap between RB1-2 and 7-8. So,
Yeah.
you've been extremely happy with Dalvin Cook. If you sat there and you watched McCaffrey go, and you watched Ezekiel Elliott go, and then you watched
Saquon.
What's that? Saquon go. Oh shucks. Well, what are we gonna do? We're gonna take Dalvin Cook and beat them all.
Yeah.
He's RB3 right now, I believe, and he missed a game or two.
Not in our dynasty league. He's RB1.
RB1, and he missed a game or two. So I believe he missed 2 games before his bye week, and he's RB1.
Just for your notes, last week Montgomery was the RB1, and he outscored Dalvin Cook by 4.3 points.
Like we said, you want them both, but
I said, yep.
I
was happy to have him.
Yeah, exactly right. Happy to have him, but David Montgomery kind of proved us right there last week. So
wonderful to see.
Yeah. Okay. Let's wrap it up here with quarterbacks. Who you got on your nice list, Ian?
Well, it's kind of funny because it goes in contrast to what you just said about Johnny Smith and the passing game in Tennessee. But my guy is Ryan Tannehill, QB 20, ADP, and he's been a set and forget at QB1 most of the season. Running off that play action with Derrick Henry, he's never going to have the boom weeks that an Aaron Rodgers or a Kyler Murray or Russell Wilson's going to have. But he's just been so solid. He's basically like Drew Brees. What you get with Drew Brees most seasons, just like I know he's never going to lose me a week when I put him in. So, yeah, Ryan Tannehill, I think he's been awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to look at his game log right now. I feel like there were some weeks where he really killed you. I'm trying to find them. Let's see. Yep, right there around week 9, he was 10 of 21. For 158 yards, and he did have 2 touchdowns, but 10 of 21. He had 15 of 27 the next week with 1 touchdown. 1 touchdown in week 12, 13 of 22 for 221. To me, I mean, look, week 3, he had no touchdowns, 1 interception, 321 yards. Ugh. I mean, he's had some big weeks. I think he's had the boom weeks, and that's why he's where he is in the rankings.
Maybe, but he's
I'm glad you're happy with him.
I mean, I rode him to a final in one league. So,
what league was that?
Redraft league. My buddy's in Florida. So,
okay.
Good week last week.
Like
21 and 27 for three touchdowns.
Who'd they play?
They played Detroit.
Yeah, matchup based quarterback.
Did he have 2 on the ground too? Did he have 2 touchdowns on the ground? Looks like it.
No, I doubt it. I doubt King Henry let him have any of that.
I don't know. We'll
5 total touchdowns. How many points did he score?
30-something points, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's my guy. Who's yours?
Yeah, Josh Allen.
Wow.
ADP, he was QB9, and he may finish as QB1 before this year is over. We've got 2 games left. There's a good possibility that he finishes QB1. He was my dark horse to finish as QB1 when we had the dark horse episode. And, boy, I'd love to put another little tally in that victory column. And even if he doesn't, he's QB2 right now, and he's lights out. So yeah,
he's been very good. He's been very good.
Yeah, he made the nice list.
As he should have done, yeah. So you were heavy on the Bills. I'm heavy on the Titans this year, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I've rode some Bills to some championship game, and then a playoff game that just didn't win. I ran into a monster, so I played against David Montgomery and Dalvin Cook. Dynasty League.
That must have hurt.
It didn't tickle. wasn't the best. So yeah, but that's fine. I'll play for third place and see where I finish there. I was glad to make the playoffs in a few leagues in a year that's been weird. I think that's got us on the show, man. What do you think?
Yeah. I think we covered some good stuff. Yeah, it's been a good year, almost to Christmas. So hopefully it's championship week. So hopefully you guys are ready.
Yeah. Hopefully you got some trophies up under the tree waiting on you. You just don't know it yet.
That'll be nice.
Yeah. Maybe you're stocking, you'll pull out a championship ring.
Maybe.
Oh, it'd be awesome. All right, guys. Well, we're going to roll out of here. It's been a fun episode. As always, you can find us on Twitter at non-neutralzone1. You can send us an email. We're at non-neutralzone@gmail.com. That's Ian, and I'm Josh. We're out of here.
Cheers.
Bye.